Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Ronsley, and this is a really important episode of my AI love affair. It's the growth tactic for you to get leads through your content marketing. So if you have content marketing in your business, which you should, every online business, every business that's online today, whether you're a furniture maker, a lawyer, business coach, or anything in between, you've got to have an online presence. And having an online presence means that you've got to create content that builds trust. And ultimately, that trust leads to leads in your business. And as a business owner, you are always looking to bring more people into our business from the leads that we collect. This episode, this growth tactic is going to show you how to do that and how to accelerate that using artificial intelligence and do that at the speed of light. Come, let's learn. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to this podcast, my AI love affair. Consider this podcast your digital compass, guiding you through the labyrinth that is business growth using artificial intelligence. Running a business as a creative can sometimes be like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But what if you had a secret tool that could align all the colors for you? That is AI. It's like a master key unlocking multiple doors. Thanks for being here. Let's learn. One of the things that's most important to talk about before we get into the principles and the steps and the mistakes is that I know a lot of us have tried to implement content marketing before. And as someone that has been doing this for over 11 or 12 years, I want to allow you to understand that there are certain times that this doesn't work if the planning phase is not done correctly. That's why this episode is all about that. You should be able to get an idea of how to execute this correctly by the end of this episode. So let's get into it. The things that I want you to understand is that it is important to have a strategy to generate content. But more importantly, it is important to have content that also brings in leads. And this tactic is going to show you exactly how to do that. So the first principle that I want to cover is value. I talk about this a lot, but value is super important. And sometimes we forget about this. So how do we create content that entertains, educates, engages, and excites our audience? Now, for us to figure that out, we got to understand who our audience is. What do they care about? Where are they already hanging out? What are their fears, frustrations, wants, needs, aspirations, mistakes, and the things they wish they could do after the problems they have right now can be fixed? And once you understand that, you can understand how to create content that educates, engages, entertains, and excites them. So when you have that list of things, you can then start to answer questions for them that they have in their mind that they need answers to. You can solve problems. You can provide insight that is going to create really good value for your audience and allows them to build trust so that they understand that you know what you're talking about. So that's principle number one. Number two is consistency. Whatever kind of content you're creating, it's really, really important that you do it consistently. Consistency is super important because it is about showing up regularly. If you go to the gym and whether you show up every week, once a week for the next 3 years, you're going to see the difference, even if it's once a week. But if you do it haphazardly and you show up and then you don't show up and then you show up and you don't show up, in 3 years, you'll probably remain just the same. And the same goes with content. Find your sustainable frequency. But I want you to understand a few things, because the more regular you are, as in the more frequently you put content out, the higher audience engagement you get. It builds more credibility and it creates more leads. Now, that is only if you have put thought into principle number one, which is value. If you haven't sorted out value, sorting out consistency without value is pointless. It's just wasted effort. Okay. So, and principle number three is having a call to action. Now, this is something that most artists struggle with. It is about selling or saying, hey, can you please check the new thing that I have just built out? I know I struggled from it myself, and I understand what is going on in your brain. That's why principle number 3 is really important, not only for you, but for me to remember, because it's something that I struggle with. So each piece of content needs to have a next step, whether it's social posts, whether it's email to database, whether it's podcasts that you're creating, whether it's articles and blog posts. It doesn't matter what kind of content you're creating. You've got to have next steps. And what those next steps are can be a variety of things, from buying your products to signing up to your lead magnet, to listening to your podcast, to checking out a certain episode, to then doing a whole bunch of different things, a diagnostic if you have one. All these call to actions need to be put in a list, and all the different types of content you create needs to be put in a list. And every piece of content you create needs to have a call to action, and make sure that that is done. So those are the 3 principles that I need you to keep in mind before I want you to focus on not making this mistake, which is not focusing on your audience. And this tends to happen. I understand, because it tends to happen. As business owners, we're constantly thinking about clients, we're constantly thinking about revenue, or we're thinking about team, or we're thinking about operations. There's a lot of moving parts. And importantly is about focusing on the audience. What do they want? And it's also really important to understand that the content you're creating is not for clients. It is for clients, but the people that are reading your content or consuming your content for the first time, you don't need to tell them what you need to tell your clients. They're very different things. So someone that comes across you for the first time, you want to get them to know you. You want to then create content that gets them to like you. Then you want to create content that gets them to trust you. And all of them are different steps of the journey. So when you're creating content, you're creating it for meet your audience where they're at. So they are not at a stage where they want to know the things that they need to know once they get to trust you and they know that you can solve their problem. They want to know things a lot earlier on when you're creating content for them. So create content for the audience and meet them where they're at. And another thing I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned is, in your content, another mistake to avoid is don't overlook SEO. Do your keyword research. So when you're creating content, you're doing it around these important keywords that over time allows you to build SEO trust within Google. Okay, so here are 3 steps. The 3 steps are quite simple and quite straightforward. The first step is content strategy. The second step is content creation. The third step is content posting. Let me show you how it's done. In the strategy piece, the first thing I'd love you to do is the why stack, the audience why stack. I spoke about this in the value piece. I spoke about it, about how to get your audience's fears, frustrations, wants, and needs, and that is their why stack. If you can figure this out, and by the way, if you're in our Discord group, you will see all my prompts on how to do your audience analysis why stack, and all the prompts are in that group. So if you will go to aigeeks.co/Discord, you should be able to get an invite into that group. It is free. So do your audience analysis first, which is your why stack. Then you create the content that addresses those needs, okay? And then you figure out what platforms, what frequency, and what regular recurring reps do you have. So this is regular recurring reps. That's what RRR means, okay? So that's your strategy. Who's your audience? What do they care about? What content addresses those needs? And then what kind of platforms, frequency, and regular recurring reps do you have to do on a regular basis to make sure that your content is regularly put out? So the second step is creation. How do you create this on a regular basis? And that means, in my opinion, you create one pillar piece of content. Now, that could be a video, a podcast, a blog, an article. It could be a really deep piece of content, which is your pillar content. And once you create that, you can create multiple pieces of content from that piece. So record once and convert it into different assets. And that's why I feel like a podcast or a video podcast is probably the best business development tool that exists, because you can do this on a weekly basis. It's your pillar content. You have the conversation with someone. You meet someone in your industry as well, and you develop a relationship. But then with that content, you can create all your social content, all your articles, all your videos, all your media, and it becomes quite easy to create. So That's why I'm a huge fan of the podcast as your creation tool. Okay, that's step 2. Step 3 is to post, which is scheduling the post. And you can do that now in almost every scheduler, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. You can just do that natively on their app. But Hootsuite is a really good option, or Buffer is a really good option, because then you can have metrics that come back to you that you can use AI to analyze. And by the way, just hold on for a few seconds, because I'm going to give you the prompts that you can execute these steps right now using artificial intelligence. So first understand the growth tactic and then how to execute it using AI. So the step 3, scheduling the post, is the first part. The second is to make sure you have regular reps to check the metrics. When I spoke here about strategy and regular reps here, one of your regular reps need to be to check your metrics regularly, or set up an automation using Zapier and Hootsuite to get your reps or your metrics coming in to your reporting system, whatever that looks like. And then also finally set a regular rep to re-strategize. So these things happen that over time, over months, over years, the strategy changes, and having to do your strategy again is always a good idea. So let's talk about the prompts. There are prompts that I'd love you to execute that will make your life a whole bunch easier. The first one is analyzing your audience. This is the prompt that I would love for you to execute in ChatGPT. I would say act like a content marketing strategist and analyze my audience. They are XYZ. I help them get this outcome, whatever that outcome is for you. And I do that by doing this, whatever your product, service, and however you deliver that. Let them know. Give me a list of my audience's characteristics and ask for what are their fears, what are the mistakes they're making right now, what are their aspirations, what are their goals, what are the problems they are facing as a result of these issues, what are the things that they're fearing, what are they thinking about when no one's around and they're not talking to anyone about it, what are their deep fears. And you ask ChatGPT to give you an analysis of this particular type of audience. So this way, you're getting a whole list of really important things that would normally take, months to get. That's the first thing. The second thing is using that analysis and the fears and frustrations, whatever you agree with, you make that list. And then you say, now, based on this, can you give me a list of topics that will entertain, engage, and excite my audience? This is what my audience cares about. Give me a list of 20 topics. Now, get those topics. You don't like them, ask it to try again, give it more context, and redo that until you have a list of topics. Once you have that topic, now you have a list of 20 topics, 40 topics, whatever that might be. You take each topic and you break it down and you create content of that topic, whether it is you recording a video like I'm doing right now. Once you create it, then you edit it, then you repurpose that, and then you publish it. Those are your steps. But once you have your analysis of your audience, you use that analysis to create your topics, and then use each topic to break it down. And then you can create even a template to take each topic and break it down. So for example, you can say, based on each topic, take this topic and break it down into the mistakes that they are making, the key steps that they need to take, what are the 3 principles that they need to execute, and what prompts would help them, just like how I have this whole section here. And it is definitely a better way to create content than you starting from a blank screen of paper. How do you create content in your business if you're already creating, and what kind of ideas are you getting as a result of watching or listening to this episode? I want to know whether you listened to the previous episode where I broke down the 3 different types of artificial intelligence, and I want to know whether you got the value that I thought I provided in that episode. Also, I would love for you to catch the next episode where we break down prompts and we talk about how to structure your prompts. And we have a legend that is Roscoe Pattinson in the house. So don't forget to check out that episode. If you want all the notes, all my slides, all the notes from here, all the prompts, go find us in Discord, aigeeks.co/Discord, or go to Discord and look for AI Geeks, the server, and introduce yourself when you get in there. Also, go to aigeeks.co/level1. You'll get 20 amazing lessons, concepts, and prompts that allow you to implement artificial intelligence into your business. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Until next time, love what you do and do what you love. Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co/Discord. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI Geek. Until then, much love.